I'm wealthy and I don't understand the feelings of a poor person like you. It's a fancy French restaurant for my lunch. I didn't make mistakes. If something went wrong, it's your fault.
My coworker, laughing as she looked down on me, called me poor. She even tried to push the blame for her mistake onto me. Then she said, "As a favor to you, I'll invite you, a poor person, on a tour of my luxury high-rise apartment I bought." At that moment, I lost it. "Oh, really? In that case, I'll come by the helicopter.
What?
I'll knock her down." My name is Samantha Scott, a 29-year-old single office worker. Many of my friends of the same age are married, but plenty are still enjoying single life like me. In the past, people would have pressured me to get married. I think I was born at a good time, and I enjoy my single days. I currently work for a company that deals with skincare products. Since my teenage years, I struggled with terrible skin problems, and I remember those days filled with worry. My skin has improved a lot since then, but even now there are many people struggling with skin troubles, just like I did. That's why I chose to work here. I feel like it's my calling. What's more, my company doesn't focus on academic qualifications when hiring. They value skills and motivation, which I deeply appreciate. This is something our president firmly believes in. Even if your grades aren't great, you can always grow if you have your motivation. But if you lack motivation, you'll never grow, so we don't need you here, the president always declares. It's strict, but I agree. The motivation is important, and almost no one complains about it. Still,
Showing motivation is tough, isn't it?
my colleague Holly, who sits next to me at her desk, sighs. I nodded in agreement. Exactly. Proving something intangible like motivation is really hard. Besides, I can't be constantly yelling, "I'm motivated."
That's true.
As we sighed together, we suddenly heard a voice.
What's this, you two? If you keep sighing like that, money's going to run away from you.
I almost let out another sigh at this sudden comment. I glanced sideways and made eye contact with my other colleague, Chloe, who sat beside me on the opposite side of Holly. Chloe also joined the company at the same time as me, but we're only on polite terms. That's because I don't really like her. If anything, you should be saying that happiness will run away, I said, and Chloe let out a cackling laugh.
You never had any happiness to begin with.
What a rude thing to say. This is why I don't like Chloe. She constantly brags about her wealth.
Anyway, look at this watch. It's adorned with diamonds, and it's so pretty I bought it on impulse. Isn't it amazing? Bet you want one too, but it's way too expensive for a poor person like you.
Why does Chloe have so much money? The answer is simple. Her parents are rich. In other words, she comes from a wealthy family. I mean, that's impressive, but boasting about it just makes the image of a rich person worse. If I say, "That's impressive," it's all over.
Isn't it? When I want something, I can't resist. So I buy it with my card on the day.
She ended her line with a typical rich person laugh. I had never seen anyone laugh like that in real life before.
You're so lively today, Chloe.
Holly said, and Chloe's eyes sparkled.
Of course, because I have money. When you have financial freedom, you feel great.
I get my energy from watching videos of my favorite celebrities.
Holly, don't bother arguing with Chloe.
No, listen up. Everything in this world revolves around money. That's why I can buy what I want and have peace of mind. Don't compare me to your poor souls.
If I said, there are things more important than money, Chloe would just bring the conversation back to money is everything. It's exhausting.
That's why I decided to go to Hawaii for the upcoming long weekend.
What?
Hawaii! This is why poor people like you.
No, I just couldn't hear you clearly.
That's because you're poor. You in business class could never understand a first-class destination.
What even is a first-class destination? Since I got to know Chloe, my image of rich has been crumbling. Is her type really that rare? Even if she says she has money, isn't it all her parents' money? The only money she earns herself is the same salary as me. I don't see any reason for her to look down on me.
How about we go get some lunch?
Holly stood up, clearly fed up. I stood up too in agreement. I wasn't going to waste any more of my precious lunch break listening to her bragging. As soon as we got up, Chloe also stood up.
Well then, I guess I'll go have some fancy French cuisine.
Yeah, feel free. Fancy French food on a weekday lunch? Chloe looked at me, grinning, and said,
Want to come with?
"No,
Oh, my bad. Poor Samantha could never afford fancy French cuisine, right? I just asked out of my habit. Sorry for being rich.
I just feel like having some pizza."
Right. Someone with your poor taste is better off with cheap pizza. Sorry, but I just can't understand the appeal of that stuff. You know, I've got a refined palate. When it comes to Chinese food, it's gotta be high-class Chinese.
What even is high-class Chinese? And did she just insult pizza? As a pizza lover, I can't forgive that. Pizza is good enough for me.
Oh, I just can't understand it. I have no idea how you poor people feel. Being rich is such a burden.
At least listen to me.
Anyway, fancy French food is calling my name, so I'm out. Good luck with your lunch.
Listen to me. And what kind of voice does French food call with anyway? Chloe said what she wanted and disappeared in no time. For now, I've decided on pizza for lunch today. When it comes to annoying people like her, the best approach is to ignore them with a mature attitude as long as they don't interfere with work. That's what I thought, but then something happened that did interfere with my work. What? An ordering mistake? I couldn't immediately grasp what was being said, so I asked again, and my senior coworker nodded with a troubled expression.
Yeah, I've always been careful to order enough of the serum for subscription customers so it doesn't run out, but it looks like we ordered one digit less than we should have.
Then we can't deliver the product to our customers.
It should last just until the next restock, but it's really cutting it close.
So we can't accept new customers?
That's what it looks like.
Oh, too bad. Of course, our existing subscription customers are important, but not being able to accept new orders is a big blow to the company. Even single purchases are made in large quantities, and it's a product that has a significant impact on our revenue. Who made such a basic mistake?
The name of the person who placed the order is Chloe.
Oh. For some reason, I wasn't surprised at all when I heard the name. That bragging rich girl. She must have been too busy boasting to properly check the order quantity. She made a mistake that even a first-year new hire wouldn't make. Just then, Chloe came back from somewhere. She was holding a paper cup with a green mermaid logo on it. Of all times, she went to Starbucks to get her coffee. My senior coworker stood up and was about to talk to her when it happened.
Hey, who's the one who messed up the order for the product I painstakingly developed and produced?
The door slammed open, and the boss's loud voice echoed through the office. Suddenly, everyone's eyes turned to Chloe. However, after sipping her coffee, she spoke.
Oh, that was Samantha's mistake.
What?
Samantha, it was you.
Wait, I don't know anything about this. I panicked at the sudden false accusation. As I flailed around with my angry boss approaching me, Chloe said,
Well, yes, I did place the order, but I asked you to double check the paperwork, didn't I?
What? For important documents like order forms, it's standard for multiple people to verify them. So this order form should have been checked by several people. But I know for a fact that I had nothing to do with this order form. So I shouted honestly, I don't know anything about it. Seeing my serious expression, the boss looked confused. Which one of you is it? But Chloe didn't back down.
Boss, poor Samantha is jealous of me and is trying to pin the blame on me. Just check the copy of the order form. You'll see her signature right next to mine.
Show it to me.
The boss held out his hand toward the senior colleague holding the order form. Chloe moved closer. And just as I leaned in to look at the document too.
Oh no, I slipped.
Whoa, cold. Chloe accidentally stumbled towards me in a very exaggerated manner. The iced coffee spilled all over me and completely drenched the documents we were just about to look at.
No.
Is that scream the boss, a senior colleague, or mine? I couldn't even tell whose scream it was, but the one who spilled the coffee seemed unfazed as she said, Oops, so sorry.
Chloe, what are you doing?
I'm sorry, boss, but Samantha tripped me just now.
I did not do any such thing. This woman, she's determined to make everything my fault, isn't she?
Enough of this nonsense. Now we can't even see the signatures.
The president held up the coffee-soaked documents. At least wipe it off before holding it up. The floor is getting dirty. Bring a towel, someone. As I was struggling, Holly handed me a towel. Thanks. Amidst the chaos, one person remained calm, smiling as she spoke.
Oh dear, now we can't tell anymore, can we? But I'm sure Samantha's signature was right there with mine.
Chloe's smile was so obviously self-satisfied that I trembled with anger. In the end, we couldn't determine who was responsible for the verification, but it was clear that Chloe was the one who originally made the documents, so she ended up getting scolded by our president. She sulked with a dissatisfied look, but somehow I got scolded along with her too. I'm the one who should be upset here. By the way, afterward, my senior colleague said, I got a quick look, and I don't think there were any other signatures besides hers, so it must mean that she placed the order without verifying it. Chloe, you sneaky. When I glared at her, she shot back. Poor people can't even handle verification tasks, can they? I got angry. I decided then and there to ignore her, no matter what. Of course, Chloe being Chloe, she wouldn't let me. One day, she suddenly came up with a bothersome idea.
Hey, why don't you come on a tour of my new place?
Not understanding what she meant, I just stared at her blankly. What's she talking about all of a sudden?
A tour of my new place.
Your new place?
Yes, actually, I bought a high-rise condo, and not just any floor, the penthouse.
High-rise condo? Is that some kind of superhero?
No, a high-rise, as in a high-rise apartment. Why would I buy a superhero?
Oh, I see. I thought you meant some kind of figurine or something.
What does that have to do with a new home tour?
I don't know.
You're the one who brought it up, Samantha.
She's so loud. Even if it's our lunch break, I wish she'd just keep it down. I just want to enjoy my lunch, but all the noise next to me is making it impossible to taste anything. Chloe, just go eat your fancy Chinese food. But instead, she's got what looks like a fancy stir-fried noodle with a huge shrimp taking up the center, spread across her desk. I don't really care, but it's unnecessarily large and in the way. It's even spilling over onto my desk. On the other side, Holly is having a burger today. It looks good. Maybe I'll have a burger for lunch tomorrow. In my mind, Chloe was already being drowned out by the thought of burgers. But of course, Chloe wouldn't let herself be ignored.
So, you want to see my new place? The penthouse of the high-rise condo?
I don't. Your face is too close, and I can't eat my lunch. Don't get in the way of my meal with your face. Even though I gave her a completely blank stare, Chloe just laughed through her nose as if nothing happened.
What's this? Are you so shocked that I bought the penthouse that you can't even eat? Oh well, I guess there's no choice. If you want to see it that badly, I'll show it to you.
Someone please take Chloe to an eye doctor and an ENT specialist. There's definitely something wrong with her eyes and ears. How could she look and listen and end up with such a wild misunderstanding? Or maybe it's just that her brain has a fascinating way of interpreting things.
Well, these fries are delicious.
Next to me, Holly was quietly munching on her fries. It seems she has mastered the art of achieving inner peace. That's not fair. I want to master it too. But since I haven't reached that level yet, Chloe's voice kept invading my ears. I just want to eat my lunch.
No choice. For poor Samantha, who'll never experience a high-rise condo, I'll invite you to the penthouse tour.
No, I'm good.
It's really big and spacious, so you can bring friends too, you know? Of course, Samantha, all our colleagues. Oh, I know. I'll just invite everyone from our company. I'll invite all the poor folks for a group penthouse tour.
Wow, she really said it. There are quite a few people who eat their lunch at their desks. All of them just heard Chloe's latest comment. I felt the air suddenly shift and turn pale. Chloe, that's enough.
Don't worry. My place is huge, so everyone can fit. After all, it's the best high-rise my daddy bought for me.
My attempt to stop her was pointless, and Chloe's taunting words didn't end. Oh well, whatever. So her parents bought it for her. Of course, a penthouse in a high-rise is beyond what our salaries could afford, even with a loan. Seeing her mooching off her parents, just as expected, Holly, the other colleagues, and I all looked at Chloe with a mix of shock and exasperation. Chloe, oblivious, kept laughing proudly. She probably just said the whole invitation thing on a whim to show off. That's what I thought, and I let it go. A few days later,
Here, take this.
Chloe suddenly handed me a white envelope. What is this?
An invitation for you. This is why I don't like poor people.
An invitation? To what?
I already told you. I'm inviting you to the tour of my penthouse in the high-rise.
Wait, you were serious about that?
Dead serious.
I thought it was just her showing off, but I was genuinely surprised she meant it. I took a piece of paper out of the envelope. In big letters, it said, Invitation. Ignoring the heading, Come see my penthouse in the high-rise, I looked at the date and time listed below and was surprised again. Wait, this is for the upcoming long weekend.
Yep.
Isn't everyone going to have plans for the long weekend?
Whatever plans poor people have can't be anything important. This tour will be way more worthwhile.
The moment Chloe said that, the workplace was once again filled with an awkward tension. Even the boss was looking over with a frown. But Chloe, as usual, didn't care at all about the reactions around her.
You want to see it, don't you? My home, right? Well, what should I do?
You already handed out invitations. What are you talking about?
Do you want to see it or not? All right then, come over at the time listed.
She really never listens to people. Oh well, it's just a ridiculous invitation. I'll just ignore it. Looking over, I saw that Holly and the others already seemed to have gotten rid of their invitations. They must have thrown them away or shredded them. I figured I'd get rid of mine in the shredder later too, but then,
Oh, by the way, since it's the penthouse, I have access to the rooftop. It's super spacious, so big you could even land a helicopter up there. I might charter a helicopter next time and take a night tour of the city around the high rise. And if any of you ever need to use a helicopter, I'll let you use the space. Oh, but you probably can't afford it, right? Sorry, poor you.
snap. I heard it at that moment for sure. It wasn't just the sound of a tense atmosphere. I heard the sound of everything freezing over. And I was one of those who froze. All right then. Even while feeling like I'd turned to ice, I opened my mouth. With a voice I knew was chilled, I said, "I'll come by helicopter then."
Huh?
Chloe looked bewildered, as if she hadn't caught what I'd said, and asked, "What did you say?" Instead of answering, I just focused on finishing my lunch. A few days later, the long-awaited holiday break began. Originally, it was a 3-day weekend with a public holiday and the weekend. But since our boss was going to be away, he gave us an extra break. So we ended up with a nice, long 6-day vacation. Naturally, some people had planned long trips. Yet Chloe set the invitation date right in the middle of that 6-day break. Who in their right mind would go on that day? Of course, everyone's got plans.
Yeah.
Holly nodded at my mutter. Even if it's not a trip, people will spend time with family or their partners.
Exactly.
Another male colleague nodded. So why don't we have any plans?
That's the sad reality of being single.
Don't say sad. As soon as another male colleague spoke, I gave him a light chop to the back of the head. Out of the 20 people who got invitations, only 4 of us showed up. Gathered at a certain location, we were voicing our sadly, not so sad thoughts. We were the 4 with nothing going on during the holiday break. Definitely not sad at all. Holly asked me,
By the way, Samantha, what were you planning to do during the holiday?
an all-out movie marathon with a bunch of rentals.
What genre?
Horror all the way.
Well, good thing you got plans now.
It's not good. Not good at all, Holly. So why are you looking at me like I'm some sad case? So how are you planning to spend the holiday, Holly?
Visiting my family, then finally tackling my pile of unread books.
Doesn't sound all that different to me.
It's totally different. I'm going for romance books only, okay?
Oh, that's not the part you should be mad about. The 2 male colleagues with us didn't have any big plans either. All right, shall we go? I said again, and the other 3 nodded. Where are we going? Well, of course, it's about that invitation. Yep, we're going to Chloe's penthouse tour in the high-rise condo. The four of us gathered for that very reason. I was so annoyed. I swore I wouldn't go, so why did I change my mind?
I was told by my senior colleague, make sure to put her in her place.
A male colleague said with a laugh.
I got handed this and was told, use this to help.
Another male colleague waving an envelope of cash.
Even my senior and junior colleagues were cheering me on.
Holly said with a wry smile. It was the encouragement from people angry at Chloe for looking down on us that got us to go. We could have chosen not to go at all. But we were bored, and above all, none of us wanted to spend the holiday in a bad mood. Put her in her place, huh? Fine, let's put her in her place with all we've got. I said, smiling, and a muttered, scary, which I chose to ignore. A while later, I called Chloe.
Hello?
She answered in a cheerful voice, and I almost threw my phone in irritation, but my mature self managed to stay calm. Chloe, we'll be heading over soon.
Got it. Are you at the station now? So you're walking over from here, right? Poor people can't even afford a taxi. Must be tough.
I'd love to sit down and debate your definition of poor all night, but for now, just wait on the rooftop. We're flying over.
Why the rooftop? And what do you mean, flying over?
Apparently, Chloe hadn't been listening to me. I could imagine her looking confused on the other end of the line. With a grin, I replied, just as you requested, we're coming over by helicopter.
What nonsense are you talking about? See, this is why poor people.
You keep calling us poor, but I live a pretty standard middle-class life.
You look like a poor person.
All right then, I accept that challenge.
I'm just stating the facts. Anyway, poor people like you should just run over here. And then look at my room and be jealous.
Oh, my flight's about to start. I can't use my phone during the flight, so I'm gonna hang up. Make sure you keep the rooftop space clear, all right?
Wait, hold on a second.
Ignoring Chloe's frantic words, I hung up. I looked at Holly and the two male colleagues and nodded. Now we're going to get back at Chloe. And a few minutes later, below us we saw Chloe standing on the rooftop of the high-rise, mouth hanging open as she looked up at us. The high-rise was indeed big and impressive, and the H marking for a helipad was clearly visible on the top floor. Since it's such a tall building, they must have installed it for emergencies. But logically speaking, you can't just use it whenever you want, right?
Looks like she's shouting something, but we can't hear a thing.
Holly said with a laugh, wearing her headset. Below us, Chloe looked pale, her mouth opening and closing as she tried to say something. But the helicopter noise was so loud, we couldn't hear a word. So the four of us gave her big thumbs up and peace signs with the widest smiles on our faces. Then the helicopter slowly started heading back to the departure point. Chloe frantically tried to follow us, but ended up bumping into the rooftop fence, making her nose turn red as she kept shouting. No idea what she's saying. That was fun.
Definitely. It's not something you get to experience easily.
A little while later, we found ourselves in front of Chloe's high-rise condo. Still buzzing from the excitement of the helicopter ride, we went straight to her apartment building and pressed the number for her unit. Immediately, she answered.
What the heck was that all about?
For now, just let us in. Whoa, this is impressive. The penthouse of a high-rise is no joke. When we said we'd talk inside, Chloe let us in without any resistance. As we admired the view from the high rise, we let out cheers of awe. But Chloe just pouted.
Still, The view from the helicopter was higher and so much better.
A male colleague said with a grin, as he knew that would get on Chloe's nerves. As expected, she yelled back, "What did you just say?"
What the heck was that? Why did you come in a helicopter?
I replied calmly, "Because you said it, remember? That you'd let us use the space if we came by helicopter. So we made the effort to come by helicopter. Even if it's a helipad, you can't just use it freely. It's not meant for sightseeing. It's for emergencies. You know, like for fire departments or other emergency services. The condo residents can't just use it for personal stuff like tours. Thanks to that, we had to go back to where we started. You live here, but you didn't know you couldn't use the rooftop freely?" I deliberately stretched my words in a sarcastic tone, and Chloe, who always fell for provocation easily, turned bright red.
Of course I knew that. I just never thought poor people like you would actually come by helicopter. You probably all pulled your money together from the company and barely managed to scrape enough, didn't you?
Well, yeah, that's true.
See, people working at such a bottom-rung company could never be as rich as my family.
Sorry for working at a bottom-rung company.
Just as Chloe was starting to recover and her snarkiness was returning, someone suddenly appeared and shouted loudly.
What? President?
Yes, it was none other than our company president who appeared out of nowhere.
What? What? Since when?
I've been here from the start.
No way. You weren't on the intercom monitor.
I crouched down and hid.
Were you in the helicopter too?
That thing only seats 4, and I'm afraid of heights, so I didn't get on.
What even is that?
Well, to sum it up, our president, who wasn't even invited, tagged along today. After hearing about today from one of the employees, he got all excited and insisted on coming along. So we met up with him at the helicopter company, had him wait while we flew, and then brought him to the high rise afterward. Chloe, who was in a complete panic, didn't notice any of it, and now here he was, suddenly revealing himself.
Anyway, Chloe, you've really come a long way, huh? Calling our company bottom rung? Well, you can always quit if you want.
No, that's...
What's the matter? Your family's well off enough to buy you a penthouse, right? Quit this so-called bottom rung company and let your parents take care of you.
No way.
Under the pressure of his words, Chloe started sweating nervously. She pressed her lips together, unable to say anything. Honestly, though, why is she even working at our company? She tries to pin her mistakes on me, does sloppy work, and lacks any enthusiasm. As we all tilted our heads in confusion, the president spoke up.
Well, maybe that's impossible. After all, you got disowned by your parents.
What? The 4 of us who were visiting all shouted in surprise. Disowned? What does that even mean?
Actually, I've known Chloe's parents since my college. That's why I hired her, but I've been wondering what to do about her lack of motivation. Then even her parents, who are my friends, came to me, saying they were at their wits' end with their daughter.
Oh, I see. We all stared in shock at the sudden revelation. It seems he had a sense of guilt about hiring her as a favor, given his usual emphasis on enthusiasm. It was awkward for him to say, and we all felt uneasy.
What? Even if I don't work at your company, I can get by just fine.
Is that so? Then you can resign voluntarily.
Fine. I won't be coming to work starting tomorrow.
What? Quitting on impulse like that. Is that even okay? We were all shocked, but Chloe didn't stop.
What's this? A bunch of poor people. Just so you know, I only work because my parents insisted. I don't need the money at all. My parents will always support me, and I can live my entire life playing around with their money. I'll live a life of luxury in this high rise forever.
Honestly, it doesn't sound enviable at all.
Even if you have money, if your heart isn't rich, life won't be enjoyable.
Holly said, and I strongly agreed.
And also, who decided we were poor?
Chloe snorted in response.
If you're upset, become wealthy like me.
The rich are not you, but your parents. If that's the case, then my parents are also like that.
What?
Chloe frowned at Holly, wondering what she meant. Both the male colleagues and I also looked at her in surprise. Only the president seemed unfazed, asking, "Oh, you're okay with telling them now?"
It wasn't exactly a secret, just nothing I needed to mention.
Holly replied and then looked at Chloe.
What do you mean, Holly?
In fact, my family, Holly began to say, and then she revealed her family owned a giant corporation that no one in the business world wouldn't know about. Most likely even more elite than Chloe's family.
My policy is that once you become an adult, you have to live on your own without any help from parents. So even if I were to struggle, they wouldn't help me. But you know, I'm happy because I get to do the job I chose for myself.
No way.
Chloe's face turned pale. Honestly, my male colleagues and I were equally shocked.
So, Chloe, now that you've been disowned by your parents and quit your job, what will you do?
What?
This time, Chloe turned completely pale at Holly's words.
How do you know about that?
The president just said it earlier, didn't he? That your parents disowned you. So you really got thrown out, huh?
Holly laughed then. Whoa, that's kind of scary. Maybe she had been holding a lot in against Chloe.
That's right. Our daughter's spending habits were out of control, and she became too spoiled. So, we gave her a penthouse as a final gesture and then cut ties, is what her parents said.
The president nodded, revealing the truth.
Oh, so that's how it is. Disowned by your parents and quitting your jobs. Maybe you have some savings, but if you keep living in this penthouse, it's gonna be gone before you know it.
The way Holly grinned while looking up from below. That was straight out of a horror movie. Chloe wasn't just pale, she looked ashen. She might pass out. Then suddenly, Holly's face turned serious and she glared at Chloe.
I've always hated your bragging about being a rich. Because of people like you, I can't even talk about my own background. Living off your parents and acting all high and mighty, bragging about being rich. It's ridiculous.
I haven't caused you any trouble, have I?
You have. It's been a huge nuisance. Thanks to you, people in our company have a terrible bias against wealthy folks. Someone like you should fall flat on your face and learn some humility.
With that, Holly pointed her finger at Chloe again. Actually, her fingertip was pretty much touching Chloe's nose by now.
Put you in your place.
Finally, the word "put her in her place" came out of Chloe's mouth. With that as our parting gift, we all disbanded. Afterward, Chloe actually did quit the company. After making such a bold declaration, she probably couldn't take it back. She seemed to have even more pride than her penthouse. I'd been wondering if she'd really be all right after being disowned by her parents, and apparently she wasn't at all. I don't know who found out, but there was a rumor going around at work that Chloe's penthouse had been put up for sale.
Of course. She must have put it up for sale because she couldn't afford to live there.
Holly said with a laugh, still scary as ever. I couldn't help but smile wryly. Holly was someone you definitely didn't want to make an enemy of. Chloe had joined the company thanks to her parents' connections, but she couldn't do her job properly. She probably struggled to find another job, and her savings likely ran out quickly. Even as a used property, a newer penthouse could sell for a good price. If she lived modestly with that money, she could have gotten by even without a job. I didn't know what became of Chloe afterward, but I figured she probably ended up living quietly somewhere. A few years later, I happened to find out what had become of her. One day, I was at a shopping mall and saw a strange person. She was painfully thin with mostly white hair, wearing worn-out clothes and shouting at random people around her, "Give me money so I can buy clothes." The arrogant attitude seemed familiar, and sure enough, when I looked closely, I was shocked to realize it was Chloe, and I quickly distanced myself. I watched for a while as security led her away. Did she blow through all the money from selling the penthouse too? She'd fallen so low that instead of feeling satisfied, I just felt sorry for her.
What's wrong?
I turned around at the voice and saw a man holding a baby. Nothing.
Really? Oh, looks like the baby wants mom.
I gently took the baby, reaching out to me. The man was my husband, and the baby was our child. Who would have thought that my colleague, the male coworker who joined me that day at Chloe's penthouse, would end up becoming my husband? Indirectly, I do have Chloe to thank for bringing us together. But that's another story. Even if you look down on others, you won't find happiness. More than wealth, it's about the richness of one's heart. I want to teach that to my child as they grow up.